Hey guys, as you know, Turning Red, the newest Pixar movie, is coming to Disney Plus on March 11th, and don't know if they're going to do the same to Lightyear. A lot of people have a lot of strong feelings on it, myself included. So this is going to be a short video tonight. I want to go over something that hasn't been talked about whenever people talk about why Pixar is getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the Disney properties. So, as you all know, we are in a pandemic, and that means that studios aren't exactly confident in releasing movies to theaters like they were back in 2019, because a lot of people are still reluctant to go to theaters, except for like superhero movies, and that's why you don't see a lot of animated films out in theaters, with the exception of like the recent Disney movie Encanto or the recent Illumination sequel Sing 2. So a lot of people have already given their thoughts on why Disney is releasing Pixar movies on Disney Plus instead of theaters. But not only that, but they're not even charging you to watch the Pixar movies on Disney Plus. They're for free. So like, they're basically treating them like garbage. But I have a theory, and I think that you should all consider this as a major factor. Now, a lot of people have complained, oh, why is Disney releasing Disney animated movies but not Pixar movies in theaters? And how come they're not charging you to watch Pixar movies on Disney Plus, but they're charging you to watch every new Disney movie that comes out? Why? That must mean that Disney hates Pixar, right? Well, I have a theory as to why Disney is giving this treatment to Pixar. And that's because Pixar makes original movies with original characters that aren't based off any pre-existing IP, which means that there's a lot more risk in a Pixar movie, an original Pixar movie, with the exception of any of the Toy Story spin-offs or movies, because Disney, I mean, as we established, we are still in a pandemic where people are hesitant to go back to theaters, and a Pixar movie, there's not really any guarantee for Disney that people will go out and see it like there is a Disney animated movie because of their connection to the Disney brand. I mean, sure, Pixar has a lot of loyal fans, but Pixar hasn't really had a perfect track record recently. I mean, one of the first movies that came out when the pandemic really hit was a Pixar movie, and it did terribly at the box office. I'm, of course, talking about Onward. So, right there is a reason why Disney is hesitant to release new Pixar movies that aren't Toy Story based or Cars based into theaters. They'll do it with Marvel and Star Wars because everyone loves Star Wars and Marvel, and they know that when they release a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie into theaters, it will grab audience's attention and people will run out to see it, no matter what. I mean, look at how Spider-Man No Way Home did. It didn't even get released in China, it was in a pandemic era, and it still crossed $1 billion at the box office. And that's another thing. A lot of people have already talked about this, but Disney's looking at other animated films that have been released recently into theaters. They're looking at the box office results, and they're not great. I mean, Sing 2 and Encanto did pretty well for a pandemic era, but they're not anywhere near the levels of what Disney is usually getting for their movies. Like, same goes for Illumination as well. Like, Sing 2 is doing good for a pandemic era movie, but Illumination have made way more money than they're making with Sing 2. So if a Disney animated movie and an Illumination movie aren't even crossing like 200 million at the box office, then there is definitely a lot more risk with them releasing a Pixar movie into theaters. And as we established earlier, they released a Pixar movie at the beginning of the pandemic and it did terribly. Here's another reason too. I said Pixar hasn't had a great track record recently. Let's look at the previous decade. They made almost nothing but sequels, and the original movies that they did make did not come anywhere near close to the quality of their greats, like Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up. Sure, people enjoyed them, and they did get a lot of critical acclaim, but I don't think that there's anybody that likes Inside Out more than Monsters, Inc. or Incredibles 2 more than the first Incredibles. those just, well, I mean, there are a few, but the vast majority of people prefer the classics to the 2010 era Pixar movies. So that's another reason why Disney doesn't really have a lot of faith in Pixar in terms of the box office revenue. If this was the golden era Pixar, where people were constantly going to see a Pixar movie no matter what, then maybe Disney wouldn't be hesitant to release a Pixar movie into theaters that isn't Toy Story based or Cars based. But since people haven't really shown that they are as loyal to Pixar as they were back in the 2000s, Disney has seen no guarantee that the box office will be successful, and therefore will not release it in theaters, and it'll just go to Disney Plus instead. That way, they don't lose any money. Although, one would wonder why they're not even charging for a Pixar movie. I don't really get that. Maybe it's because they're not sure that people would pay to see a Pixar movie on Disney Plus. That I don't know. But the reasons that I said are more than likely. So anyways, that is why I think that Disney is not releasing Pixar movies into theaters. So anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think that these are the reasons why Disney is being so unfair to Pixar? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.